Before Sauron, before the One Ring, there was Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, the mightiest of the Ainur, and the one who waged war on the very fabric of creation itself. In the deepest histories of Middle-earth, long before the Third Age and the rise of the kingdom of men, Morgoth, once known as Melkor, sought dominion over all things. His fall from grace marks the true beginning of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, and his legacy shaped the fate of Arda for ages to come. Morgoth, originally called Melkor, was the most powerful of the Ainur, the holy spirits created by Eru Ilúvatar at the dawn of time. In the Silmarillion, Tolkien writes that Melkor was given the greatest power and knowledge, and he had a share in all the gifts of his brethren. But from the very beginning, Melkor harbored a rebellious spirit. He was not content to merely take part in the grand design of Ilúvatar. Instead, he sought to impose his own vision upon the world. Quote from the Silmarillion: "He had gone often alone into the void, places seeking the imperishable flame, for desire grew hot within him to bring into being things of his own. Melkor's longing for power led him to stray from the harmony of the music of the Ainur. This discord reflected his will to dominate and control. From this moment his path was set in opposition to the very fabric of creation. It was this desire for control, to bend all things to his will, that began his slow descent into evil. In the great music of the Ainur, which shaped the world, Melkor introduced his own discordant themes, seeking to reshape the vision of Ilúvatar. His actions did not go unnoticed. In the Silmarillion, Tolkien recounts how Ilúvatar halted the music and rebuked Melkor for his rebellion, warning him that no matter how hard he tried, Melkor could never truly change the ultimate destiny of Arda. Quote from the Silmarillion: "And thou, Melkor, shalt see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me, nor can any alter the music in my despite." But Melkor was unrepentant. His desire for power and control grew stronger, and soon he turned his gaze toward the newly formed world of Arda. Here, in this fresh and vibrant land, he saw an opportunity to claim dominion. When the Valar descended into Arda to shape and prepare it for the coming of the children of Ilúvatar, elves and men, Melkor declared war on his kin. Thus began the first of many battles between the forces of light and the spreading shadow of Morgoth. Melkor's early attempts to conquer Arda were marked by a brutal struggle with the Valar. He sought to corrupt and destroy all that his fellow Ainur had built. The Valar, led by Manwë, Melkor's brother in the mind of Ilúvatar, stood against him. But the war was long and bitter. Melkor marred the lands, cast mountains into ruin, and unleashed chaos upon the world. Quote from the Silmarillion: "But Melkor was filled with shame, of which came secret anger, and he brooded in the dark, and it came into his heart that he would draw all things unto himself." Melkor took for himself the title Morgoth, meaning the black foe of the world. This name would be a curse upon the lips of elves, men, and dwarves for all time. His hunger for domination knew no bounds, and soon he corrupted many of the Mire to his side, most notably Sauron, who would one day become his most loyal and cunning lieutenant. Among Morgoth's greatest desires was the light of the two trees of Valinor, which bathed the land of the Valar in an ethereal glow. But it was Fëanor, the greatest of the Noldor elves, who captured that light in the three Silmarils, jewels of untold beauty and power. The Silmarils became the heart of Morgoth's lust for dominance, and their creation sparked a new phase of his campaign against the free peoples of Middle-earth. Quote from the Silmarillion: "In that hour Melkor lusted for the Silmarils, and the very memory of their radiance was a gnawing fire in his heart." In a cunning and treacherous move, Morgoth befriended Fëanor under false pretenses, but when he was banished from Valinor, he returned to his fortress in Middle-earth, plotting his revenge. His opportunity came when he, along with the monstrous spider Ungoliant, launched an attack on the two trees of Valinor, poisoning them and plunging the land into darkness. In the chaos, Morgoth stole the Silmarils and fled to Middle-earth, sealing his place as the greatest foe of the Valar and the Elves. Quote from the Silmarillion: "Then Morgoth, seeing that the light of the trees was utterly gone, laughed aloud. In Middle-earth, Morgoth established his great fortress of Angband, a place of terror and despair. It was here that he forged his monstrous armies, orcs, balrogs, and other foul creatures of his making. Angband became the symbol of his unrelenting desire for power and control. His reach extended across Beleriand, where the Elves, led by Fëanor and his sons, mounted a desperate resistance. The conflict between Morgoth and the Noldor Elves became known as the War of the Jewels, with the Silmarils as the ultimate prize. Time and again, Morgoth unleashed his legions upon the Elves, bringing death and destruction wherever his shadow fell. But even in his might, Morgoth feared the hidden city of Gondolin, where Turgon, a leader of the Noldor, ruled in secret. Quote from the Silmarillion. Greatest of all the fortresses of the Elves was Gondolin, and Morgoth feared it more than all other dwellings of his foes. Morgoth's cruelty extended beyond the battlefield. One of his most infamous acts of malice was the curse he placed upon Hurin, a great warrior of men, who defied him. After being captured, Hurin was forced to watch through Morgoth's dark sorcery as his family was destroyed. This curse led to the tragic downfall of Hurin's children, Turin and Nienor, a tale steeped in sorrow and despair. Quote from the Silmarillion. But upon all whom Morgoth cursed fell the shadow of his hate, and the darkness followed them. In time, Morgoth's relentless pursuit of power would lead to the destruction of Gondolin, one of the last strongholds of the Elves. It was through betrayal that Morgoth learned of the city's location, and his forces, led by balrogs and dragons, laid waste to the hidden city. Gondolin's fall was a devastating blow to the Elves, and it marked a turning point in the war against Morgoth. Though Morgoth seemed unstoppable, his tyranny would not last forever. The Valar, who had long stayed away from Middle-earth, finally answered the cries of the Elves and the Edain, men allied with the Elves. They waged a cataclysmic battle known as the War of Wrath. The skies darkened, mountains crumbled, and seas rose as the forces of Valinor clashed with Morgoth's armies in a final apocalyptic struggle. Quote from the Silmarillion. Then was Morgoth cast out from the world, and taken in chains to the halls of Mandos. In this epic confrontation, the mightiest of the Ainur were unleashed upon Morgoth, and he was finally defeated. Captured and chained, Morgoth was banished into the void, forever cut off from the world he had once sought to control. His defeat would bring an end to the first age of Middle-earth and lay the groundwork for the second age, but his legacy would linger in the shadows. Morgoth's influence did not die with his defeat. The darkness he had sown would continue to fester, leading to the rise of Sauron, his most devoted servant. Sauron inherited many of Morgoth's ambitions, seeking to dominate Middle-earth through the One Ring, and to carry on his master's legacy of fear and domination. In this way, Morgoth's shadow loomed over Middle-earth even in the ages to come. The corrupting power of the Silmarils, the tales of despair surrounding Hurin, and the fear of the Balrogs and dragons would echo throughout history, serving as a reminder of the Dark Lord who had once tried to claim the world for himself. Quote from the Silmarillion. But Morgoth is not wholly vanquished. The darkness is in the hearts of men, and he shall always find a way back. Morgoth's portrayal in adaptations has varied significantly. While his character is rich and complex in Tolkien's works, many adaptations focus primarily on Sauron, leaving Morgoth in the shadows. However, as the Tolkien estate continues to release more of his writings, adaptations have the potential to bring Morgoth's character and his immense legacy to a wider audience. His story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that great power unchecked can lead to ruin. Morgoth embodies the themes of pride, greed, and the consequences of rebellion against the natural order. As we explore adaptations, one can only hope to see a portrayal that honors the depth of Morgoth's character and the epic scale of his tale. Quote from the Silmarillion. For he was the first Dark Lord, and from his ambitions grew the shadow that would haunt the ages. Morgoth's story is one of tragedy, ambition, and relentless power. As the first Dark Lord, he set in motion events that would ripple through time, casting long shadows over Middle-earth. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the dark legacy of Morgoth. the black foe of the world. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more tales from the depths of Tolkien's legendarium. Here at last on the shores of the sea comes the end of our fellowship.